I still don't ride roller coasters anymore. People always ask why. Sometimes I tell them I'm too old for them now. Sometimes I tell them I get motion sickness. Sometimes I laugh it off and change the subject. The truth is sitting in a police report somewhere in a dusty filing cabinet. The truth happened in May of 2003 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. The truth happened on X. And every night, when I close my eyes, I still see her falling. My name is Roach. I know, what a stupid name, but it's the name that my dad gave me before he was killed by a drunk driver, and I just stuck with it to honor his memory. Back then I was 22 years old. My girlfriend, Noelia, was 19. We had been dating for almost a year, and life felt perfect. A few weeks before our trip, she had received her acceptance letter to college. She was so excited that she cried when she opened it. I remember lifting her off the floor and spinning her around while she laughed and yelled at me to put her down. To celebrate, we planned a day at Magic Mountain. Neither of us knew it would be our last day together. We arrived early in the morning. The sky was bright blue and the parking lot was already filling up with cars. Noelia wore a white tank top, jeans, a black jacket, and a necklace I had bought her for our 6-month anniversary. I can still remember every detail. The way her hair blew in the wind. The way she held my hand. The way she smiled. We spent the entire day riding everything we could. We rode Goliath. We rode Colossus. We rode Revolution. We rode Batman. We rode Riddler's Revenge. We even rode Scream, which was new at the time. We ate overpriced burgers and shared a funnel cake. By late afternoon, our feet hurt and our voices were hoarse from screaming on rides. The only major coaster left was X. Back then, X had a reputation. People talked about it constantly. It wasn't just a roller coaster. It was a revolutionary piece of machinery that showed just how far the manufacturing of coasters were. The seats rotated. The track twisted. The trains looked like giant metal machines built to torture people. Even standing beneath it made me nervous. Noelia hated it immediately. Nope. She crossed her arms. No way. I laughed. Come on. No. Just once. No. She pointed toward the massive track overhead. Roach, look at that thing. The train roared above us. Noelia physically flinched. People are upside down. They survive. Barely. I laughed again. She wasn't laughing. Roach, I watched Final Destination. Oh my god. It's a movie. What if something happens? Nothing's going to happen. What if the restraint breaks? I remember the exact words. What if the restraint breaks? I wish I had listened. For nearly 15 minutes she refused. Finally I wrapped my arms around her waist. Please? No. I'll give you unlimited cuddles tonight. She rolled her eyes. No. I'll kiss you every 5 minutes. No. I'll order pizza. She paused. I saw her weakening. Any toppings? Anything you want? She sighed dramatically. You're impossible. I grinned. So that's a yes? She pointed at me. If I die, I'm haunting you. I laughed. She didn't. We entered the queue. The sun was beginning to set. Orange light covered everything. Valencia looked absolutely stunning. The shadows were getting longer. I remember thinking how beautiful. I remember wishing we could stay forever. When we reached the station, Noelia looked pale. Last chance to leave, I joked. You're lucky I love you. We boarded the train. Front row. I sat on the left. She sat beside me. The ride operators came through checking restraints. I watched mine lock securely. The operator pushed on Noelia's restraint and moved on. At the time, nothing seemed unusual. But Noelia looked uncomfortable. Does yours feel weird? She asked. What do you mean? It feels loose. Maybe that's normal. She tugged against it. I don't know. I looked at it. It seemed fine. The operator had already checked it. I shrugged. It's okay. I regret those words more than anything. The train left the station. Slowly. Climbing. Click. 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 Higher and higher. Noelia grabbed my hand. Her fingers were shaking. You okay? No. I laughed softly. We'll be off in 2 minutes. She squeezed harder. Promise? I promise. At the top, the train paused. For a second, everything was silent. The park stretched below us. The sunset painted the mountains red. Then we dropped. The ride exploded into motion. Spinning. Twisting. Falling. I could barely tell which direction was up. People screamed all around us. Wind slammed into my face. Metal roared. The track twisted beneath us. My shoulder nearly dislocated. Her body jerked violently. I remember seeing Noelia's face. Pure terror. The kind of terror that doesn't belong in this world. Then, my hand slipped. For one horrifying second I lost my grip. Then I grabbed her wrist again. Help! I screamed. Nobody could hear me. The ride drowned everything out. Tears streamed across her face. I don't want to die. Then it happened. We flipped again and she was ejected from the seat. It was a force so powerful it ripped her hand from mine. I saw her body fall. I saw her vanish beneath the track. And then she was gone. I heard her body hit the ground with a sickening thud. The train kept moving. That's the part people don't understand. The ride doesn't stop instantly. The ride kept running. For what felt like hours. In reality it was probably seconds. But every second lasted forever. When we returned to the station, people were screaming. Some were crying. One woman was vomiting. The operators looked horrified. Then someone pointed. Then someone else started yelling. Then everybody knew. I climbed out of the train and collapsed. I don't remember much afterward. Security arrived. Paramedics arrived. Police arrived. People were escorted away. The entire area was closed. I spent hours answering questions. The same questions over and over. What happened? Did she say anything? Did you notice anything wrong? Could she have unbuckled herself? Was the restraint damaged? Did she appear intoxicated? Did she attempt to stand? No. 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 She was just scared. That's all. She was a 19-year-old girl who trusted me when I told her everything would be okay. The next week was a blur. Funeral. Flowers. Family. Tears. Silence. More tears. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes I saw her falling. Every dream ended the same way. Her hand slipping from mine. Her scream. The sunset. The empty seat beside me. Years have passed. The ride changed. The park changed. People moved on. But I never did. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I had listened. If I had told her we could skip it. If I hadn't bribed her with kisses and cuddles. If I had paid attention when she said her restraint felt loose. Maybe she'd have graduated college. Maybe we'd have gotten married. Maybe we'd had started a family. Maybe she'd still be here. A few months ago, I finally returned to the park. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted closure. Maybe I wanted to prove to myself that the nightmares couldn't hurt me anymore. I stood in line for X as the train screamed overhead. People laughed. People cheered. People held their hands in the air. Then I felt a presence. A cold chill. Soft. Barely audible. Right beside my ear. Roachy. I froze. A voice. A voice sounded exactly just like Noelia's sweet voice. 19 years old. I turned around. Nobody was there. Then, from somewhere high above the track, I heard a faint scream carried by the wind. A scream that sounded exactly like the one I heard on that sunset evening in May of 2003. The scream of a girl falling. The scream of a girl who never made it to college. The scream of a girl who trusted me when I promised she would be safe. It's been almost 5 years since Noelia died. 5 years since I last heard her voice. 5 years since I promised her she would be safe. A few days ago, I saw an article saying that X was finally closing. Not permanently. Just being transformed into a new ride experience. A new name. A new theme. A new identity. Apparently they're giving it a completely different look. When I read the announcement, I sat staring at my computer screen for almost an hour. Most people were excited. They were talking about the new paint, the new trains, and the new story. I couldn't stop thinking about May of 2003. I couldn't stop thinking about Noelia. To everyone else, it was just another roller coaster getting an upgrade. To me, it was the machine that took away the woman I loved. I know replacing paint and changing the name won't erase what happened. The track will still be there. The memories will still be there. And somewhere in my mind, Noelia will always be 19 years old, sitting beside me at sunset, terrified after watching Final Destination and begging me not to make her ride. But maybe a fresh start isn't a bad thing. Maybe the ride deserves a chance to become something else. Maybe the people who ride it in the future will never know the story I'm telling here. And honestly, I hope they never have a reason to learn it. I hope the new trains are safer. I hope the restraints are safer. I hope every single person who boards that ride comes back to the station smiling. Because every time I look at that track, I remember the last thing Noelia asked me before we left the station. What if the restraint breaks? I laughed and told her nothing would happen. I was wrong. So if they're really rebuilding X and giving it a new life, then I only have one wish. I hope the restraints never kill anyone again. There's something else I've never really talked about. People always ask if I eventually moved on. If I got married. If I found someone new. If I started a family. The answer is no. I never did. At first, it was because I was grieving. Then it was because I was afraid. After a while, I realized it was something else entirely. I kept comparing everyone to Noelia. Every date reminded me of her. Every laugh reminded me of hers. Every conversation somehow led back to memories I couldn't let go of. It wasn't fair to the women I met, and it wasn't fair to me. So eventually, I stopped trying. I stopped dating altogether. Some people think that's sad. Maybe it is. But the truth is that Noelia left a space in my life that nobody else ever managed to fill. I'm not saying she was perfect. She wasn't. She could be stubborn. She always stole fries off my plate even when she ordered her own food. She would play the same songs over and over until I thought I was going insane. And whenever she got scared watching a horror movie, she'd pretend she wasn't scared while simultaneously hiding behind me. But she was my Noelia. And losing her wasn't like losing a girlfriend. It felt like losing an entire future. The wedding that never happened. The apartment we always talked about getting. The college graduation I never got to attend. The children we used to joke about having someday. All of it disappeared the moment she was taken from me. People tell me that everyone eventually finds somebody else. Maybe that's true. Maybe it isn't. All I know is that nearly 5 years later, I still catch myself turning toward the passenger seat whenever I drive somewhere beautiful, expecting to see her smiling beside me. And for a split second, I always forget she's gone. Then reality comes back. The seat is empty. And it has been empty ever since that evening in May of 2003. Noelia, I don't know if spirits are real. I don't know if you're out there somewhere. I don't know if people who leave us can still hear the things we say. But if there's even the smallest chance you can hear me, then I need you to know something. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I've said those words 1,000 times over the years, but I never stopped meaning them. You were scared. You told me you were scared. You didn't want to write X. You tried to back out more than once. You told me about Final Destination and how roller coasters terrified you. And instead of listening, I laughed. I teased you. I bribed you with kisses, cuddles, and pizza. I thought I was helping you overcome a fear. I thought I was being a good boyfriend. I never imagined I was walking you toward the worst moment of our lives. If I could go back to that day, I'd do everything differently. I'd tell you we didn't have to ride it. I'd tell you we could leave the line. I'd tell you we could go ride the carousel for all I cared. I'd tell you that celebrating your college acceptance was more important than any roller coaster. I'd tell you that I loved you. Over and over and over again. Because maybe if I had listened, you'd still be here. Maybe you'd have graduated. Maybe we'd be old and gray by now. Maybe we'd be arguing over what movie to watch on a Friday night. Maybe we'd have the future we always talked about. I think about that future every day. And every day, I miss you. Not just the big things. The little things too. The way you'd squeeze my hand when you were nervous. The way you'd steal food off my plate. The way you'd laugh so hard you couldn't breathe. The way you'd get excited over the smallest things. The way you'd make an ordinary day feel important. I've spent years carrying guilt that I'll never fully put down. Maybe I don't deserve forgiveness. Maybe I never will. But if you're out there somewhere, I hope you know that I loved you then. I love you now. And part of me always will. Thank you for every moment we had together. Thank you for every smile. Thank you for every memory. And I'm sorry that I couldn't protect you more than anything else. I'm sorry. I miss you, Noelle. I always will. Love, Rochi.